Thank you everyone for coming. OneNote is a great tool for organization. It's a tool that we have as a staff, but our students have as well. I think there's a lot of applications for us in terms of Amanda's a curricular leader sharing information between the teachers in the district. It's amazing, and our kids can do great things with it also. So today's designed to be just a very, very basic introduction. And then in 2 weeks, if you are intrigued, you are welcome to come back and we'll do a little bit more detail with what you can do in OneNote. But if you haven't used OneNote at all yet, I know Don and Amanda, I think you two have delved in a little bit. But OneNote is, they compare it to an electronic 3-ring binder. It is designed to give you a way to organize files and information. You've got tabs and pages just like you do in your traditional paper binders. It's really designed to be used with OneDrive. This isn't something to actually use it without going online is harder. So we're going to recommend that you use Office 365 and OneDrive with this. There is a free app for almost every device out there that lets you access your OneNote files for free from an iPad, from an Android tablet, from a Windows tablet. It's really versatile, and Microsoft has worked to make it that way, which is great. And then you can easily share through OneDrive too. So these can be private, but they can be shared, and you can also share just portions of your binders. The other thing that's great about OneNote is it can hold pretty much anything. Video files can be uploaded to it, documents, images, links. There you can store a lot of different information in it, which makes it very, again, versatile. And space is pretty much unlimited. Craig has a OneNote notebook that he's been keeping for, I don't know how many years, but he hasn't run out of space yet. So the files, although they can get really big, can hold a lot. So one thing I know confuses people sometimes is they'll ask, how do I, what is the difference between like a Word document and OneNote? OneNote is a program, and it works alongside Office 365. It's meant to integrate with that. But it's a program, so just like Word or Excel, you can save a file and you have a file. It can be downloaded to a flash drive or your hard drive, but again, it's really made to be an online feature. So I'm going to close this PowerPoint. Craig is really our OneNote expert. He is hanging out in the sidebar. If anybody has questions, please feel free to type them in that side message. Also, feel free to unmute your mic and just jump in. I don't mind being interrupted at all. But because OneNote is designed to work with Office 365, I'm actually starting in my OneDrive, and I think most of you I've talked to about Office 365 and OneDrive. So hopefully you've been in. If you haven't been in, I can email you some directions. But for today, we're going to start already. Once you're signed into Office 365, and I went to my OneDrive, they changed their format a little bit a couple weeks ago. You can use this waffle at the top left to access different parts. I'm in OneDrive, and here you can see it's a file called OneNote Intro Training. So this is a file. Here's a Word file, a PDF file. It's just a file that can be saved. And I'm not sure why that's confusing, but it can be. When I click on the title of my file, this is my notebook. You can see, because it's a Microsoft product, there are things that look very familiar. We've got a ribbon at the top. So I've got File, Home, and Insert, much like you do in Word or Excel. And you can do a lot of the same things. I can change my text or use headings and bullets, just like I do in other programs. One thing you'll want to take note of is right now I'm in the online version of OneNote. And I can tell because right at the top left it says OneNote Online. And I also get a URL. So right now I'm working on the web. I can work on the web in this file from my phone, from my tablet, really pretty much anywhere. I can open it in the full version of OneNote, which I'm going to do. And if you haven't noticed this in Office 365, it's a really important feature. Right in the center, it'll say Open in OneNote. If I click this, I will actually get the same file, but opened in the full program. And you'll see the same type of thing in Word or Excel. And now I can see it doesn't say I'm online anymore, and I don't have a URL, so I know I'm on my computer. But there are a few features you only get in the full version. You do not get online. So just to give you a better idea of what is accessible to you, we're going to go in the full version for right now. So again, we compared it to a binder. At the top, across the top, I have my binder tabs. As a teacher, if you ever tell your kids, go out at the beginning of the year, I want you to buy 8 or 9 tabs for my class. This is what you see across the top. I can color code these. You can choose your color. You can right click and you can change your section colors. But more importantly, what you'll do more often is this little plus. When I want to create a new section, I can just click this plus sign. I can give it a title and click enter. So across the top, I have my binder tabs to give me sections. This file is totally about training, but I have meetings. I have a separate OneNote file where I have all the different meetings I attend on a regular basis across the top. And then down the side, you have what would be the pages, the paper pages behind each tab. And again, I can add and organize these in lots of different ways. There's a simple click for add a page. And when I give this page a title, it's going to turn that title into my page name so I can find it later. I'll call this one Training Today. Once you're on a OneNote page, it's unlike Word, it's a little less structured. Wherever you put your cursor, you can begin to type. So normally we start at the top left, and I can start to type whatever information I need. But if I want to be a little less linear, I can click over to the right. And I'm not very good at typing and talking. But these really are text boxes that, unlike Word where you have to insert a text box, I can go all over the page. So again, I'm not as restricted as to my format. If you're doing some brainstorming or something graphical, OneNote gives you a lot more options. So you can easily type text on a page. I'm going to go back to my overview. We talked about this a little bit. To access Notebook, again, we started in Office 365, and I will share this Notebook file with you later. So you can see I have 2 files attached here. You'll be able to access these. If you haven't logged into Office 365 yet, I attach directions for you to help you get started. So what do you do when you work in OneNote? Again, you've got the full version of OneNote and the website version. We opened this one in the full version of OneNote so we could see more features. And one thing is, I'm kind of repeating myself here, but we've got the layout at the top. We have the ribbon. Again, this looks just like the Word ribbon. You get your file button if you need to save or transfer. Home will give you basic formatting options. And we also have an insert option. When you go to the insert on the ribbon, this is where you can add things like pictures, but you can also add files here. So you can add a file as an attachment, and if you do that, it looks just like an attachment on an email. But you can also do a file printout, and if you do a file printout, you will actually see the entire document laid out on your screen. There's a Draw tab, and this is designed to be used with touchscreen devices. I'm not on one right now, but if I had an iPad or a Surface tablet, you can use these drawing tools to use your finger and simply mark up your page. So pretty great. Yeah. To add files, we can go under Insert, and I will show you how a printout works. I really like the file printout. If I just go to Insert and File and Printout, oh, that's a long one. I better go shorter. I can choose my file, browse to it just like in other programs. There will be a short delay. The longer the file, the longer you'll wait. And now you can see that file is right on the page. So if you were a teacher or trying to share information with maybe your department, this is a quick and easy way for them to have the entire document without having to have several attachments, because I can have as many pages on my right side as I want. So if I need to share 10 files with my team, I can have them each on a separate page to organize, and then I can share this entire OneNote notebook or a section of it with the people that need those files. So instead of attaching 10 files to an email, I've boiled this down to one cohesive place, and it can be easily organized. OneNote, as the name implies, is a great place for taking notes. And with OneNote, when you open in the full version of Notebook, you get this Send to OneNote tool, and it will appear on your toolbar. I'm going to move it over so you can see it. But it looks like this. And what Send to OneNote does is, if I'm not working in OneNote, let's say I'm doing some research on the web, and I find something I want to add to a notebook, this tool that'll go on my bottom toolbar on my computer lets me send information directly to OneNote. So, actually, let me go back. I'm going to show you some examples. This was a page I took from the internet, and when I was in Wikipedia, the source that every teacher loves to hate, I can simply click this Send to OneNote, and what it does is not only will I get a file printout on my page of that OneNote file, it also will give me the citation information. And now you can see I marked this up. If a student was doing research and taking notes, this gives them an electronic way to mark up their information, and it helps them keep track of their citation information, which is so important. If you do this with a screen clipping, if I didn't need that whole Wikipedia page, but I just wanted this really cute giraffe picture, I can use the Send to OneNote tool. I can use screen clipping, and I just selected the picture, but again, right away I get the citation information of where that picture came from. Kids and adults too, we're bad at taking information and not citing it, and sometimes we grab information and we just forget to write down where we found it, and you can never find it again. OneNote will automatically add this information for you. So in terms of research and being a tool for not plagiarizing and helping kids understand that, it's very useful. 15 minutes always goes by so quick. There are some other things we can do that we'll touch on in the more advanced notebook in a couple weeks, but there's a to-do list feature in OneNote, and you can find that on the home ribbon. There's a to-do, and I don't know about you guys, I love to-do lists. So you can simply, I'm still on my highlighter here, I'll highlight my boxes, but you can click things off as you use them. So that, if you are looking at keeping the electronic to-do list and keeping track of what needs to get done and when, that's a great feature. If you would like to work on a notebook together, one thing Craig and I did last fall was the program for our SMART conference. We worked on that together. Just like other files in Office 365, you can invite people to share, and you can do that really simply through the File and then Share. There's actually 3 or 4 different ways to do it. This is just one. But this is connected to our email address book, so I can simply type in names. So I know Pat's here today. As I start to type in his name, he comes up. I can include a message if I want. And I also have editing rights, and this is true of all of our Office 365 files. Do I want Pat to be able to edit this file or only look at it? So sometimes when you're dealing with students, you just want them to see things, not change it. But then I can click Share, and then Pat will get an email and be able to access that notebook. So there are a ton of great features, and again, there's so much more we'll get into in a couple of weeks. But for right now, it gives us a place to organize information, easily share with students, and work on things, again, from any device. It's not device specific. And for those of you in the classroom or working with teachers, one of the great new tools, and I know Pat's been playing with it a little bit, it's called the OneNote Teacher Tool. This is something we can do that helps you set up a classroom notebook. And when I share this with you later, you can, if you want to take a look, you can use these YouTube links, and there's some support links. It allows you to create a notebook that your students have access to, and it creates 3 basic sections. It gives you a section where you as a teacher can post things for your kids. It's read only. Anything you put there, students can only read and look at. A middle section is the collaborative section, and any of the students you add to that notebook, this is where everybody can make comments. So if you wanted to have a group brainstorm, you could do it in the collaborative section. But then you'll add your students, which is as simple as typing in their names, and each student will have a private tab across the top. And that is that student's private section that no other student can view. But students can work in that space. They can attach papers for your feedback. They can have journals or blogs, and you as a teacher can give them feedback using a tablet, using your computer. You can comment on individual students' work, and you are dealing with one file. Each student would have a tab at the top. So you could have a portfolio of your students' work, everything they did for the year, in one file that then you can share sections of it with parents, or you can use as part of your teacher evaluation. And if you are working with teachers, you could do the same thing, adding teachers as your students. So for evaluations, a principal could have a section for each of their teachers where teachers could submit their artifacts for their evaluations and their growth data. So that's a really basic overview of OneNote. We didn't get into very much today, but again, in 2 weeks, if you can make it back, that'd be great. Craig is a OneNote guru, so he's always happy to answer questions, and of course I am too. So if you can't wait 2 weeks and you have anything you'd like to ask, feel free to stick around now, or feel free to email us later. But I'm glad you could take time out today. And I'm here if you need anything.